The corridors of Station Meridian hummed with the usual cacophony of interstellar commerce. Merchants from a dozen worlds haggled in their native tongues, their universal translators creating a dissonant symphony of negotiation. Among them moved the unseen, the ignored, the necessary souls who kept the station functioning. Marcus Webb pushed his cleaning cart through the crowd, his weathered hands gripping the handle with practiced ease. 53 years old, with graying hair and shoulders that had long ago learned to slump, he was invisible. Just another human janitor on a station where humans were considered relics of a bygone era, a species that had contributed little to galactic society since first contact 2 centuries ago. The Cryoxon soldier noticed him only because Marcus had the misfortune of being in his path. Commander Zekthar stood nearly 8 feet tall, his chitinous exoskeleton gleaming purple-black under the station's artificial lights. The Cryoxon Empire had conquered 47 worlds in the past decade, and Zekthar wore his military decorations like a declaration of superiority. His mandibles clicked with irritation as the human's cart momentarily blocked his way. "Move, vermin," Zekthar hissed in Galactic Common, his translator rendering the words with appropriate contempt. Marcus quickly stepped aside, mumbling an apology. But quick wasn't quick enough for a Cryoxon warrior who had just been denied shore leave and was looking for something to break. The slap came without warning. Zekthar's armored hand connected with Marcus's face, sending him sprawling across the polished floor. The cleaning supplies scattered, bottles of disinfectant rolling into the crowd. Blood trickled from Marcus's split lip. The crowd barely paused. Such incidents were common enough. Humans were bottom-tier citizens, protected by law but not by custom. No one would intervene for a janitor. Zekthar loomed over the fallen human, his 4 eyes gleaming with satisfaction. "Learn your place, human. Your species' time is over. You exist by our tolerance alone." Marcus remained on the ground, his hand touching his bleeding mouth. He looked up at the towering alien, and something flickered in his eyes. Not fear. Something else. Something old. "You should walk away now," Marcus said quietly. Zekthar's mandibles spread wide in what passed for a Cryoxon laugh. "Is that a threat, janitor? Do you know who I am?" "I am Commander Zekthar of the Cryoxon 3rd Fleet. I have burned worlds." "What could you possibly?" He never finished the sentence. Marcus rose to his feet with a fluidity that contradicted his weathered appearance. His spine straightened, his shoulders rolled back, and suddenly the slumped janitor was gone. In his place stood something different. Something that made Zekthar's combat instincts scream a warning half a second too late. The human moved. No, that wasn't right. Humans didn't move like that. Humans were slow, weak, their reflexes dulled by generations of peaceful existence. But Marcus crossed the distance between them in a blur, his hand shooting out to grip Zekthar's throat just below the mandibles. The Cryoxon commander had fought in 100 battles. His exoskeleton could withstand plasma fire. His training was impeccable. But the human's grip was like nothing he'd ever experienced. The fingers dug into gaps in his armor that shouldn't have been vulnerable, finding pressure points that no human should have known existed. Zekthar tried to activate his armor's defense protocols, tried to summon his enhanced strength. Marcus squeezed, and every system shut down. The commander's 4 eyes widened in genuine terror as he realized he couldn't move, couldn't breathe, couldn't even trigger his distress beacon. "You want to know something funny?" Marcus said, his voice conversational despite the violence of his grip. The blood still dripped from his lip. "You think humans are weak because we stopped fighting. You think we're irrelevant because we became janitors and engineers and farmers." He lifted the 8-foot Cryoxon warrior off the ground with one hand. The crowd had finally noticed. They were backing away, their faces registering shock that transcended species. "But here's what you don't understand," Marcus continued. "We didn't stop fighting because we were weak. We stopped because we were too good at it. Because we scared ourselves with what we could do. So we made a choice. We stepped back. We took the quiet jobs. We cleaned your stations and fixed your ships and pretended to be harmless." Zekthar's exoskeleton began to crack under the pressure. small fissures appeared in the supposedly indestructible armor. But we never forgot how. We never lost what made us dangerous. We just buried it deep and hoped we'd never need it again. Marcus's other hand came up, gripping the top of Zekthar's skull. The commander tried to scream, but no sound came out. You had a chance to walk away. I gave you that chance. But you had to prove something. You had to show everyone that you were superior. The crowd watched in frozen horror as the human janitor's hands tightened. Zekthar's exoskeleton, designed to withstand the rigors of space combat, began to crumple like paper. The thing is, Marcus said softly, we were apex predators long before we reached the stars. And that instinct? It never really goes away. You just learn to control it. The skull crushed with a sound like breaking crystal. Marcus released the body, and it crumpled to the floor. He looked around at the gathered crowd, at the dozens of species who had thought they understood the galactic hierarchy. His face was still bleeding, but his expression was calm, almost sad. Someone should clean this up, he said quietly, reaching for his fallen cart. Oh wait. That's my job. As he began gathering his scattered supplies, the crowd parted before him like a sea. News of what had happened would spread through the station within the hour, through the sector within a day, through the galaxy within a week. The humans were still here. They'd always been here. They were just waiting to see if the universe needed them to remember what they'd once been. Marcus hoped it wouldn't come to that. But if someone else needed a reminder, well, he still had 4 more hours left on his shift.